Ladies and gentlemen, good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for coming to commemorate Workers' Day. On behalf of the Ministry of Public Service, Labor and Social Welfare, I would like to welcome you. I want to talk about three themes. One is why we should celebrate International Workers' Day. Then also talk about the history of the International Labour's Day. And then I want to speak a lot more on the tripartite negotiating forum. But that's absolutely key to where we are going as a country. Zimbabwe joins the rest of the world in commemorating International Workers' Day. But I would like us to remember that as we celebrate this day, we also think about those who lost their lives during the tragic events of Cyclone Idai. As you all know what happened, we had this vicious cyclone that affected Mozambique, Zimbabwe, and also Malawi. And during that tragic event, we lost a lot of our people. And those we lost were engaged in various types of livelihoods, various types of work. We lost breadwinners, we lost market women, and among those we lost as well, specifically those that I actually know, we lost teachers, we lost agricultural workers. So it really was quite tragic. So we are currently engaged in the recovery program, particularly looking at how we can now work on livelihoods, developing new infrastructures. That also means a lot of work for this country and also for the workers of Zimbabwe. But in thinking about the kind of work that's going to be done, we should think in terms of decent work, which I will talk about in a little while. Let me talk a little bit about the history. International Labour Organization started about 100 years ago. So this year we are actually celebrating the centenary of the International Labour Organization. The focus of the ILO, International Labour Organization, was the promotion of justice and human rights. And what does this mean for Zimbabwe? During the time that we were Rhodesia, issues of decent work at that time were unheard of. And we are all too young to even know about Chibaro. Chibaro was a system of labor. My own grandparents were involved in Chibaro. They were working in developing this country when it was Rhodesia. They were working in the mines, in the farms, in the factories, as builders. And cities like Salisbury at that time were cities that were created by workers. And at that time, the colonial regime wanted the workers to be men. Even domestic workers, as you may recall in history, domestic workers were meant to be men. There were harsh conditions for workers as they built these roads to create what we now call Zimbabwe. So we have come a long way to develop a fair and just system that's not based on racial lines. So we need to be celebrating that. We also need to be celebrating the work that was done by trade unions during the colonial period. They spearheaded a lot of the human rights and democracy that we celebrate today. So for that, I want us to pay homage to the yesteryear trade unionists in general who partnered our nationalists in fighting to dismantle colonial rule. As I said before, this year marks the celebration of the ILO, and we look forward to the road ahead, cognizant of the fact that the world of work is undergoing major processes of change. So in order to understand and also to respond effectively to these new challenges, my ministry, the Ministry of Public Service, Labor and Social Welfare, in the next few weeks, will be guided by the ILO Global Commission on the Future of Work. Next week, we will be inviting you again to the launch of Zimbabwe's Decent Work Country Program. The acronym is ZDWCP. I am very happy to say that the tripartite technical experts have prioritized employment promotion and international labor standards as the two priority anchors of our Decent Work Program, which will be launched next week. The theme for International Workers' Day this year, 2019, we are focusing on promoting productivity, trust, and dialogue for inclusive growth. What does this mean? This means that we are looking forward very much. We've been working in developing a very strong contract with our social partners. And when I talk about social partners, we're talking about trade unionists, we're talking about business, we're also talking about civil society, as well as our civil servants. But in the tripartite negotiating forum, which, and I will admit that it has taken us some time, because for the past 8 years, we have been talking about it, but we didn't move as much as we would have liked to move. However, I am very pleased to say that the TNF has now gone through the various processes, and one of the processes that we've already gone through is the consultation through or the Parliamentary Portfolio Committee. It has had the first reading in Parliament. It will have the second reading in Parliament on the 8th of May. And then I am hoping, and I'm very hopeful, that this will then go through Parliament. And why are we focusing on the TNF? The TNF will help us create a forum whereby we can have a social dialogue. And I also want to comment the business environment for allowing this to happen, that they are very willing that we should engage as Zimbabweans on this negotiating forum. This also includes some of the trade unionists, and by the trade unions, we're talking about the ZCTU and ZFTU. Through this platform, we are able to negotiate issues such as the current economics. And I want to focus a little bit more on the current situation. As the Minister of Public Service, Labor and Social Welfare, I do want to acknowledge that the price hikes are hitting. We therefore are calling on business to lessen the burden on households by not continuing to raise the prices, because we are going through some difficult times. And this is why the President has launched the TSP, the Transitional Stabilization Program. Through the Transitional Stabilization Program, we are focusing on 5 key pillars. The 5 key pillars that the President has launched through the 2-year Transitional Stabilization Program includes governance, infrastructure and utilities, microeconomic stability and financial re-engagement, as well as social development and inclusive growth. Inclusive growth would also link to our mantra that Zimbabwe is open for business. Zimbabwe is open for business is underpinned by an unshakable resolve to ensure that decent work is attained in all jobs, and that we envisage to create in our investment drive. In order for us to have employment, we also need to have investment in this country. And the TSP stabilization program is focusing very much on inclusive growth and also the creation of employment. With the creation of employment, Zimbabwe will look at decent work, which is part of our responsibility in also allowing us to remain aligned to international labor standards. But for this, we need effective social dialogue, which is a necessary ingredient for the harmonious industrial relations and also for greater productivity. In recognition of the foregoing, government remains seized with the goal of stabilizing and growing our economy while also ensuring labor market stability in the country through this continuous dialogue that I have spoken about. Therefore, it is my expectation that during the coming weeks, we will be focusing on the bill that I've spoken about, the TNF bill, and also the Labor Act, which is Chapter 28.01, and also the Public Service Act, Chapter 16.04, as well as the bill for the Zimbabwe National Productivity Institute, which will be expeditiously tabled for discussion in Parliament. So we do have 3 very key acts that need to go through Parliament fairly soon. And I strongly believe that by the end of June, we would have tabled this through Parliament. But definitely the TNF, which creates the social dialogue, would have gone through by the end of May. I'm very keen to have the TNF to go through Parliament because this will create the platform for negotiation, particularly with the trade unions. This will mean that when there are issues like price hikes, we are able to come to a table like this where we have business, we have trade unions, we have government to discuss and give each other wisdom on how we can approach issues that affect us all as citizens. This also means that once the TNF goes through, it's unlikely that you will have people simply going on strike without coming to this negotiating forum. That is why I am excited that we have made so much progress. And I also want to acknowledge very much, and I want to emphasize this, I want to acknowledge the work that has already gone through with the support of the ZCTU and also the support of the ZFTU and the support of business through MCOS. We have put our heads together to prepare for the TNF bill to go through Parliament. The process has moved so much that there's a sense of positive energy that is growing between us. Of course, you might find others will say it's been a bit slow, and I want to acknowledge that. But what I want to celebrate today on Workers' Day is that the TNF bill is going to go through Parliament, and we are very, very soon to get the President to sign off on that. So finally, in closing, I want to thank our social partners, and I want to also thank and remember the workers that have made Zimbabwe the country that it is today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Minister, for your comforting words and the hope that you have given to the workers of Zimbabwe and the Zimbabwe in general. I want to take this opportunity to ask members of the media if they have 1 or 2 questions to pose to the Minister. We don't intend to delay the celebrations because today it's a celebration day. So we might have 1 or 2 questions and then we go and celebrate with the others. Any questions? Yes.
My name is Lucy Yasini. I'm a freelance journalist. My first question is on today. I would like to see you, Minister, joining the workers for the celebrations in the 2 venues in Harare. And then my second question is on the price hikes. Yes, you made reference to the issue that you would like in the future to have a platform like this where you discuss with business. But for now, are we likely to see any price controls coming in?
On the first question on whether I'm joining the workers today, I would have, but I'm rushing off to the cyclone. I am on my way to Chipinge. We are going to be meeting, we're preparing to meet the chiefs tomorrow. So we are going to be meeting a number of the people who were affected by the cyclone, and especially some of the most vulnerable who lost their parents during the cyclone. Are we going to see any more price hikes? Yesterday in Cabinet, the President specifically said, let's ease up on the prices. So the Minister of Industry and Commerce will be delivering a statement on whether there will be price hikes. But certainly from yesterday's conversations, it's unlikely that there will be any price hikes. But as you can understand, business often does what it likes, and it's very difficult to control. But as the Minister, I do acknowledge that the price hikes are hitting.
Thank you, Minister.